Good evening. Can everybody hear me at the back? Today is a great day. It's a day of great sorrow because I am so upset of the BMA results. I don't want to strike. I absolutely do not want to strike. On the first, I want to go to work and look after my patients just like I have ever since even before I qualified. And it's a day of sorrow because junior doctors, 99% of junior doctors who return their ballot think that striking is the only way we can prevent Jeremy Hunt from implementing a contract that is not only disastrous, but it's unsafe, it's unfair, and it's unjust. Repeatedly, he has not listened to us, he's not engaged with us. And Jeremy Hunt wrote a letter to Johan this week, stating that of these 22 points, that there were absolutely no preconditions whatsoever. He's put it in writing. But in the same letter, he went on to list what his preconditions were. He said, I reserve the right to implement the contract come August 2016. And that is the gun that's being held to our head. Well, I say to Jeremy Hunt that myself, my colleagues and my patients deserve a contract that is fair, that is just, that is safe, not a contract that will fulfill Jeremy Hunt's political ambitions and his political obligations. Because this is a contract worth getting right, not a contract worth getting wrong, just so Jeremy Hunt can tick a box and add it to his CV. Jeremy Hunt has also said that he wants us to work more weekends. At the same time, he has said he wants us to be working fewer hours. So if we're working more weekends but working fewer hours, who will be left working the weekdays? We already have such difficulties fulfilling a 5-day elective service. Emergency services are always the same, whether it's a Tuesday or a Sunday, whether it's middle of June or Christmas Day. The emergency service, the on-call medical team, is always composed of the same number of people. That never changes. But it's elective services that Jeremy Hunt is talking about. He wants junior doctors to be available on Saturday and Sunday to take care of the elective patients. These are patients coming in for a routine clinic appointment, for a gout clinic on a Sunday morning, to have your knee replaced, to have your hernia repaired. Important procedures, important things, but not things that necessarily need to be done on a Saturday or a Sunday. We also know that GP services that have been rolled out on a Saturday and Sunday, a lot of their slots are being unfilled. Don't take my word for it. Even just go onto BBC and type in GP weekend working. You'll see news reports. There'll be links to that where the evidence is listed. But Jeremy Hunt hasn't listened to us. The other thing Jeremy Hunt has said is that the pay envelope will be the same. So junior doctors will be paid roughly the same. And David Cameron stood up in Parliament and said, and he gave the promise that all junior doctors working within the legal limit, their salaries will not be cut. It's pretty good. But what David Cameron and Jeremy Hunt, and please note, I voted for the Conservative Party at the last election, so I'm not anti-Tory. But what they fail to understand is every single day junior doctors work beyond the legal limits to keep our patients safe, to keep our National Health Service afloat. So the hardest working specialties, the specialties where the reason why we're working 16, 18 hours a day is not because we'd like to claim overtime. You can't do that. It doesn't exist. I can't submit an overtime claim form. There isn't one. The reason why we work those long hours is because that's where our training comes from. When Yezen, who's a plastic surgeon, has to go and see a child who's got severe burns and needs to take them to theatre, where it's 7 p.m. and his shift finishes at 8, he doesn't say, I'll let the kid wait for an hour. He takes them to theatre. even if that means he finishes at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. Jeremy Hunt and David Cameron have failed to grasp that point, that we have a sense of vocation. We care. We work beyond our legal hours, and we don't ask for reward. But what we do ask for is that we're not kicked in the teeth time and time again by being told that actually we're going to get a pay cut. Now, Jeremy Hunt also released to the media, not to the doctors, because he knew that this would spin very well in the media. He said, we're offering junior doctors an 11% pay rise. But by removing our supplement for working weekends, nights and evenings, we're actually taking a 30 to 40% pay cut. So giving us an 11% pay rise means that actually now, let's say 30%, he's removing 30% of my salary from working nights, evenings and weekends. By giving me an 11% pay rise, now I'm only getting a 19% pay cut. And oddly enough, when the negotiations started, he was actually offering us 14.9% increase in our salary. So actually, the offer that he's come up with last is even worse. But, of course, if you go to the Daily Mail or any national press and say we're offering junior doctors an 11% pay rise, that's what gets reported. And of course, members of the public think, gosh, these rich doctors, an 11% pay rise, and they're still going on strike. We're not asking for more money. And I'm so saddened that people think that we are. I would still work for less money. Even if it meant that I were to get a 10% pay cut, I would work less. But this is an independent body. The independent pay reviewer said this. I think the head of it is a geography specialist, so people who are quite well positioned to decide on the NHS. We must listen to the independent bodies. But what about the independent bodies that said that our nursing colleagues should get an above inflation pay rise, where our healthcare assistants, the lowest paid workers in the NHS, should get an above inflation pay rise? Well, that recommendation, that obligation wasn't fulfilled. And instead, and I apologise for picking on the Conservative Party, but instead, just the other week, we had a filibuster tactic employed to prevent a vote on our carers, our lowest paid carers, from being eligible for free parking in the NHS. This is not the government that I voted for. This is not my government. Because my government would not do something like that. Junior doctors are going to strike. And I implore Jeremy Hunt, I implore you as colleagues of Jeremy Hunt to ask him to come back to the negotiating table. Not to say we want the junior doctors to come back to the negotiating table. We need him to come back genuinely from the heart with no preconditions. That includes removing the gun to our heads that this contract, come what may, is going to be introduced in August. If that threat of imposition is removed, then I'll listen. Jeremy Hunt needs to listen to the junior doctors, because do you know what? We work on the shop floor. Jeremy Hunt, apart from doing the odd shift here and there, cleaning a bed whilst a photographer is taking pictures, we have worked, we have dedicated our lives to making sure that our patients are safe and that our National Health Service remains afloat. He needs to listen to us, because do you know what? We know what we're thinking about. Jeremy Hunt has also failed to meet with us. Several times we have asked him to come and meet with us. We asked him to come today. We sent him a letter. We sent him emails. He didn't reply. But tweet diplomacy seems to be the way that our government is negotiating with us. And I say that that's very disingenuous. Today, I think 20-something thousand doctors returned the ballots. 99% of them said they want strike action. We are giving our British Medical Association, our elected representatives, a clear mandate to negotiate on our behalf. And yet, we are all branded as militants. I am a militant. I'm a militant doctor because I want the absolute best for my patients. And I'm sorry, but I am proud of being a militant who will protect his patients, come what may. Johan has also said that the pay envelope, keeping our protected salaries, will last until 2019. So what he's asking us to do, effectively, in the way that I interpret that, and all of my colleagues interpret that, is he's asking our generation to sell out the generation that will follow us. Already this year, and this is available on the UCAS University application website, we have seen a 10% reduction in the number of applicants for medicine. Now, I run a scheme which helps students from very poor backgrounds who go to some of the worst schools in our region. I help them through their medical application process. We pick the brightest students and we talk them through medicine. Last year, I managed to get 7 of these students into medical school. This year, we had 9 people interested. Only 1 of them submitted their application to medical school. And the others, the reason why they didn't was because of this dispute. That means in 6 years' time, you're going to have 10% fewer doctors qualifying. 70% of junior doctors have said they will leave the National Health Service if this contract comes into place. Now, even if you think that's an inflated figure, it only takes 1 doctor missing from every on-call shift for the NHS to become undeliverable. Even if a few thousand junior doctors leave this country to go to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the Middle East, the NHS becomes undeliverable. That means in 10, 15 years' time, the people who would have become our GPs, our consultants, our researchers, they won't be here. We need the public to protect us so we can help you. Because I fear that we aren't doctors. We're not spin specialists. We don't know how to deal with the media. We don't know how to engage with the public on political issues because we're apolitical. When I took my oath from medical school, this wasn't part of it. So thank you so much for coming to us today. Thank you for hearing what I've had to say. I am by no means unique. 99% of doctors speak with me. And Johan Malwana and the BMA speak for us, and I urge you all to listen. Thank you.